Hey guys, it is great to be back. Week 17, the long week, because we've got the All-Star break in there, has finally wrapped up. And we are here to recap it. So welcome in. My name is Andrew. I am your host of our Angle Fantasy Basketball Weekly Recap. Let's go over what happened for the All-Star break. So the big winner of the All-Star break was definitely Damian Lillard, not only winning the three-point contest, but as well as the All-Star Game MVP. And then, starting to seem like he's bouncing back. I mean, Dame's struggled a bit starting off his tenure with the Milwaukee Bucks. Dame's bounce back following his great performance during All-Star Weekend was definitely evidenced in his clutch performance against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So curious to see if he can bounce back for the remainder of the season for the Bucks. We decided to stay busy during All-Star Weekend here at Angle. We definitely dropped a good amount of content during that time. So for starters, we dropped a couple of Dynasty Outlook videos. First one was covering Jaime Jaquez. Second one was covering Denny Avdia. So be sure to check those out on the YouTube page. Also, Mitchell put out a article. You can find that at anglefantasybasketball.wordpress.com. This is a dynasty-related article covering the main core pieces of the Detroit Pistons. So Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, and Osar Thompson. So be sure to give that one a read as well. Covering some news around the league, the Atlanta Hawks have lost All-Star guard Trae Young. He has a torn ligament in his left pinky finger, which he is going to get surgery for. He's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So we could potentially even be looking at a, 5 to 6 week return. Of course, there could be a potential ramp up period too. The injury is at least on Trae's left hand, so not on his shooting hand, but it is still going to definitely have an impact on him when he returns. Best wishes to Trae for a speedy recovery. But we need to look at what's going to happen with the rest of the Atlanta Hawks rotation. So for starters, they're definitely, looking like they're starting to tank for a better draft pick for this year. The number one thing that I want to keep an eye on is their recent first-round draft pick, Kobe Buffkin. He is a point guard. He's been tearing it up in the G League. Now that Trae Young is gone, it's a huge hole to fill. So I'm curious to see if Kobe Buffkin is going to start getting more minutes now. I mean, he should be getting more minutes at this point in the season anyway. The Hawks are going nowhere this year. They need to start playing someone like Buffkin to help continue to develop within the rest of the core of the team. So with Trae out, this could be a massive opportunity for him. It's a tough blow for fantasy and dynasty managers. Those 10 assists per game are very, very hard to replace. Another bit of news that has happened in the league, post All-Star break, Jordan Poole has been benched. So since the last week of January, averaging 14 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists per game, shooting 35% from the field, well outside the top 100 in fantasy. Awful stuff. I mean, getting paid $27 million per year, absolutely horrible contract. Looking at it now, the fact that contract also raises over the next 4 years just blows my mind. I mean, this guy is in an opportunity that people would kill for. He's on a team where it's, it could have been his team. That's what we all thought when he first got traded. Oh my God, here's a guy who soaked up all the usage on the second unit for the Warriors. Let's see what he does with his own team now. Nothing. Fucking nothing. I mean, he had to get benched to start playing against second units again to start doing again. And the second half of the All-Star break, 23 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, still not shooting 40% from the field, but he is shooting 88% from the line on good volume, so there's at least that. But come on, dude. I mean, there's guys out there busting their ass for a two-way spot, and this dude barely looks like he wants to be out there. It only took until someone finally benched him for him to start acting like he gives a shit again. Crazy. This guy just gets on my nerves, man. This entire season for him has just been wild. I don't even own him in fantasy anywhere. And it's just something that's been driving me crazy throughout the years. And anybody who watches him play notices the body language, the lackadaisical effort. It's just his level of play, man. He just doesn't want to be there. He doesn't care. He thinks his legacy is set and settled. But if anything, this is reversing that. All right. Let's forget about Poole, though. Let's move on to some more positive stuff. Let's look ahead now to week 18. We're going to talk about our 4s and our 2s. These next few weeks, we're going to definitely be wanting to pay very close attention to the teams that are playing either 4 games or 2 games during their week, because we have playoffs around the corner. Moving into week 18 here, a lot of leagues should be starting their playoffs around week 20. So we definitely want to start paying very, very close attention to our streaming options coming up during playoff season here. But looking at week 18, here are the following teams that are playing 4 games this week. We have a very, very active league this week. A lot of teams playing 4 games. So the Nets, the Hornets, the Cavaliers, the Mavericks, the Pistons, the Warriors, the Pacers, the Grizzlies, the Heat, the Wolves, the Knicks, and the Raptors. All of those teams are playing 4 games this week. There are actually no 2-game weeks, so everybody else who's not playing 4 games is only going to be playing 3 games. One thing that I will mention, so the low volume days is going to be on Monday and Saturday. There are 2 teams that play both of those days, and that's the Nets and the Grizzlies, both of which also play 4-game weeks. So obviously with silly season going on in Memphis, it's always tough streaming options there, but you can take a look at streaming options in both Memphis and Brooklyn for this week with the 4-game week as well as the low volume days. All right, so moving on to Braxton's buy sell. So each Monday, Braxton puts out his buy sell for the coming week. So for week 17, when Braxton put that out, for his number 1 buy, he did a combo at the top. He did both of Charlotte's new arrivals, Trae Young and Vasilij Micic. So great call on Trae Young, 65th player overall for the entire of week 17, averaging 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, shooting 46% from the field, and also making 2 threes per game. Great call on Trae Young. Vasilij Micic, a little bit different, 7 points, 5 assists per game. So the assists are good, but very much struggling with that shooting, 29% from the field. So great call on Trae Young. Both of those arrivals for Charlotte were absolutely worth an ad at the time of it happening. If you want to drop Micic at this point, it's fine. Trae Young, hold in all leagues. Braxton's number 1 sell was Bruce Brown over there in Toronto. Bruce was well outside of the top 100, ranked 150th overall, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists per game. If you managed to sell him off for anything useful, that was a great call. So good call getting rid of him if you did have him. He needed to be sold off either in a trade or be streamed for. Good call by Braxton on that one. On to the Angle Fantasy Basketball Player of the Week. I mean, I think everybody's going to pretty much see this one coming. It has to be Victor Wembanyama. So Victor played 5 times in total over the week 17 period. He averaged 24 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists per game, 2.8 steals, 5.6 blocks per game. He shot 49% from the field, 82% from the line, also banged in 1.8 3-pointers per game. Absolutely deserving of the Angle Fantasy Basketball Player of the Week for week 17, Victor Wembanyama. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video as well. We will be back to recap week 18 next week on Sunday. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.